listen, gents, all right? It's the same thing every week. You talk about all the socials, all that. It's not to do with that this week. What it's it's all about me, all right? So I want us really to focus more on me as question mark, probably the most important thing of the podcast. So no, I'm really not interested. So don't worry about all that. Let's focus on me. Play the goddamn intro.
Questioning Mark.
Questioning Mark.
Questioning Mark.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
we know Mark always brings the viewers. He always brings the listeners. Been a bit low this season, so we thought, God, we better get Mark on. Sort this out.
Yeah. I hope that anger came across just then. I was, I was angry.
It was very genuine, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you're sporting the t-shirt again, Mark. Well done.
So you're still wearing it the wrong way around, but
it's still back to front. Well, I like the branding.
Do you know what, Mark? What you should do one time when you come on is wear it the right way round, but then just have your back.
Yes.
Yeah. Just put your glasses on the back of your head. It'll be fine.
Yeah. That's it. Just like that. Exactly.
Sorted.
Well, talking about bringing the viewers, there's 2 already in the chat. Mark, can you see the chat?
I can't. No.
So can you not go on comments?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go. So Shane is here from Dawn of Comics. Hello, what's up? Hope everyone is well. I'm good, thanks, Shane. Cheers.
Thanks, Shane. It's very nice.
Right. And Triple G, Pete's here. Evening all, at work, so I'll dip in and out. Well,
it's fine.
He saves lives, doesn't he? So,
make sure you're prioritising. It's going to be a good show, but not that good.
And make sure, tell the patients as well, Pete.
Yeah.
Get them
on. What does Pete do?
He's a nurse, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's literally got more important things to do than
listen to this nonsense for an hour.
But he's here because he knew you were coming. And why don't we? Let's kick straight off. Tonight's show is all about. We don't want your questions, Mark. We're going to be questioning you.
Yeah, I'm worried.
And seeing as we've just referred to Pete and Shane, we might as well kick off with theirs, I reckon. Oh, Pete's ones are quite. He's thrown us a couple. Quite straightforward, I reckon.
Mm-hmm.
First one: Star Trek or Star Wars? Discuss.
What a question!
What a question.
I remember them being described once as one is talking, one is techie, and one
which is which.
Well,
it'd be Trekkie, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think Star Trek is meant to be more of the techie one in the sense of that they are supposed to talk more about the mechanics of things. Like they try their absolute best to talk about warp drives and all the different ways all of that work, and therefore I think it gained a much more, I don't know, maybe serious audience in some way. Like they always seemed much more sort of, I think up until relatively recently, like quite a, the community as, happy with everything, because they had the first ever interracial kiss.
Interesting.
With Uhura and Kirk, and
that was in the 60s, I believe, wasn't it? So very, very forward thinking as such at that sort of time. Do you think, though? I know you haven't actually answered the question.
No, I haven't. Sorry,
I'm just going to throw this something out there. Do you think it's that Star Trek has more of an opportunity to do so because it's a series, or like multiple series, and they have the opportunity to cover a broader perspective, whereas Star Wars is, well, not so much now, but traditionally limited to that film format as such?
Yeah, so they had to talk more of the techie side. I don't know, maybe to fill up the side. I don't know.
I was thinking more of like the challenging perspectives and things like that. Okay. Then they'd have more opportunities to address those.
I think also the idea of Star Wars is it's a bit more. It's meant to be a bit more magical, isn't it? I think there's like there's this light sword They go a parsec, which nobody knows what that means. It's all sort of
measurement of speed, isn't it?
It's exactly. It's not whatever that is. So I mean, so to answer my question personally, I was always much more of a Star Wars person or Star Trek, although I did sort of fall into which Deep Space Nine, which a lot of people didn't like, because I think Deep Space Nine used to come on after The Simpsons.
Right.
On BBC Two, so I sort of fell into watching more Deep Space Nine, which I know a lot of people don't like, but I remember really enjoying it.
Have you seen, guys, that while we're talking about these two popular shows, Star Trek? There's some news that's broke over the last week, I think, for the third season of Picard. Yeah.
And my friend Dean, who was we talk about, absolutely loves Picard. Dean, he's probably not watching because he's got children and a life as well. But sorry,
we're going to take Mark out of this show now.
Way back when, about 10 years ago, he got on like a drive all of Star Trek, the original. Deep Space Nine, all of the films, and he's a Trekkie.
Well, that probably relates back to
Picard, but he loves Picard. Sorry. I'm just saying he loves Picard, and lots of people don't.
You're saying it's all on a drive. That probably links back to last week's show about piracy.
No, it's all legit. He bought it all.
He purchased them and downloaded his copies.
Did he buy it from Matt?
Have I just sent the police around Dean's?
I gave him a really good deal on all that stuff. Yeah.
But seriously, the Picard season 3 is bringing back. Well, I've just seen Pete's son. I saw the article the other day because I saw it and I went, surely not. Yeah, and it shows them now. You've even got like what's the Worf? Yeah, but it's old Worf. So Are you completely non-aware of what I'm talking about?
I ain't got a clue. I know there's the new series, but I've seen probably bits of the original Star Trek, and I've seen bits of is it the Next Generation?
That would have been
and only in recent years seen that, and that's really good. And I think I probably would like to watch that series because I really like it. I've nothing against Star Trek. I've just not really been exposed to it that much.
What about the recent ones with Chris Pine?
Right. Maybe I saw the first one at the cinema. I think I may have seen the second one as well. But because the second one had Winona Ryder as Spock's mum, didn't he?
That's right. Yes. Well, she dies early on. Does she die or?
Yeah, I think she does.
The planet gets destroyed, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, so it's pretty good chance she did.
But they were great, and they're talking about another one of those.
Right.
It's been so long since the last one, and obviously the actor died, didn't he? So they've got a lot of sort of baggage with that film because it's been so long and because that tragedy. So it's I mean, I look forward to it, but But to answer the question, Star Wars next.
Next.
Matt,
we got lots to cover. Well, I'm always going to say Star Wars. Personally,
I'm the same. Sorry, Pete, but we still love you. Shane. Oh no, let's. Sorry, Pete's got a second one.
As Pete's here, let's do Pete's questions. Yeah.
Well, Shane's here as well, but anyway, Pete saving lives. His second question: who was the best Bond in your opinion? Obviously,
another very good question.
Thanks, Pete.
Yeah, you are merely the messenger. You're the conduit. You are not the. See, again, it's a bit like saying who is the best Doctor Who. Sometimes that's
obvious, though, isn't it?
Yeah, David Tennant. We all know that.
Yeah, thank you.
But the whole point is actually sometimes they're very good for their content. I mean, Pierce Brosnan, when he did it in the 90s, he was like a very good 90s Bond. I think if you watched him now, he would just be silly.
I thought he was a good crossover though. Funnily enough, me and Matt appeared on.
I was about to say,
Super Bracket Bros. The show went live on Sunday.
I saw that. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Yeah.
Awesome podcast. Basically, they get two fictional characters to battle, and we took part and decided who would win out of Daniel Craig Bond and Faith. isn't it, from Mirror's Edge?
Which
so
is such
check that out.
Like unique choice.
Mirror's Edge. There was a reason why they picked Faith. It's because the original 32
listen to the show and you'll find out.
Oh, okay.
The original 32, you'll hear no more. But yeah, interestingly, we were talking about Bonds from over the years, and I think we were saying kind of the older Bonds, your Roger Moores and your Sean Connerys, were all a little bit schmoozy.
Probably by his standards, a bit creepy.
Yeah, and I think Pierce Brosnan was the first who kind of started moving away from that, in my opinion. And then Daniel Craig, we were saying it's almost all action now.
But and then because I obviously really enjoyed the most recent Bond films. Like I think they're really good, and also I like, which I know a lot of people don't like, that they all connect. Because some of the other Bonds don't.
That was one thing that I probably liked the least, if I'm honest, because I liked the sort of the fact that each one was a separate story, and I guess it's because now they're not related to books, are they? They're just sort of free reign as such. Yeah.
Well, as you just saw there, Shane saying Sean Connery, and Pete actually says, same, I'm afraid, Shane. Such a disappointment. Did you? Oh,
no, I think he's talking about something completely different. Yeah. They're talking about the previous question, I think. But what is your answer?
I would say, I probably would say Daniel Craig, because I think if you were to say to me, would you want to watch, which Bond would you like to watch? It would probably be Casino Royale.
James?
Mine, I would still probably go back to Pierce Brosnan and GoldenEye.
I mean, it is good. Yeah. Same Bean.
Who's yours?
I don't think I've ever seen a Pierce Brosnan Bond film. If I'm honest.
You've never seen GoldenEye?
I haven't. I need to. I've missed that whole chunk of Bond. My favourite.
He's really good.
Well, I need to watch him. My favourite Bond. No, I just think at the time I just wasn't interested in. To be honest, it just wasn't anything more than that. That period of life, I just missed out on it. So yeah.
The thing about Pierce Brosnan's GoldenEye is so good, but The World Is Not Enough is just awful. Like really, it really is a trough to go down. Like
he did do 3, didn't he?
Trough.
Yeah.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Die Another Day. GoldenEye, Die Another Day.
Die Another Day, I think, because didn't Madonna do that song? Die Another Day.
Yeah. Like I think 3. I'm going to say 3. If I was in a quiz, I'd say 3.
Okay.
The World Is Not Enough.
GoldenEye
and Die Another Day.
What about what did I just say? Tomorrow Never Dies. Have I just made a film up?
Isn't Tomorrow Never Dies a different Bond? Somewhat. Triple G and Shane will know.
I watched on TV the other day. There was The Living Daylights with Timothy Dalton, and that was awful. I saw bits of it, and it's like, this is a tough watch. But my favourite Bond is Roger Moore, and that is purely because the time I remember. I was saying on the podcast we was doing the other day, growing up, those films being on TV at Christmas and stuff like that, and it's sort of Roger Moore ones. Live and Let Die is my favourite all-time Bond film. It's an awesome film. Yeah.
There you go. Thanks for the questions, Pete. Appreciate it. And just a shout out to anyone who is watching that isn't Pete and Shane, because they have actually sent in questions. Send your questions in if you want. Live chat. We might have time to get round to them, but we have got a lot of questions.
Next
one is from Shane, and he says, "My dearest question mark." What's so funny?
No, nothing. No. I've just never been addressed so formally before.
Yeah. Hope this finds you well. Would you?
He did write it in a letter as well, just to clarify.
Delivered by pigeon.
Yeah.
Would you be so kind as to answer this question for me, please?
No. Next.
God, I mean, we've this is quite a lot of text already, and we haven't even got to the question.
No.
Which movie or TV show are you looking forward to the most in the MCU Phase 5 lineup?
Ooh.
Before you think about that, because I don't want to put you on the spot. This is not quickfire round. We've obviously had loads revealed over the weekend at San Diego Comic Con.
Yeah.
which was amazing.
So Phase 5.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be nothing till next year, won't it? Because Wakanda Forever finishes this Phase 4, doesn't it? So I have to think of what is going to be in TV. So it must be Loki.
Phase 5 begins with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Yeah, but he asked for TV shows, right?
Yeah, the TV.
Yeah,
no, he said TV shows or movies, didn't he?
Oh,
I thought he said TV shows.
No, which movie or TV show are you looking
at? That, I mean, yeah, it's a very good question. I'm not really looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp because for some reason I just don't get those films. I'm not a massive fan of those.
Have you not seen the daughter, Cassie?
Yeah, no, purple suit.
Yeah,
but
more about what she wore at Comic-Con.
Oh,
hot.
Cassie. Oh yeah, she's not a kid anymore, is she?
Yeah, it's definitely the kid version.
Wow,
I'll never be invited back. This don't know what says. Yeah. So Phase. I can't really think of what is Phase 5. I can think of Phase 6. That's Fantastic Four.
Well, there's only 3 things that have been revealed from Phase 6.
Tell me, then I can't remember.
Yeah, tell him the ones.
Right. So from the list, there was Ant-Man and.
Oh, here we go. He knows it all. Look, here we go.
Loki season 2.
Yeah,
there is. Blade. Ooh. There's Daredevil Reborn, which is my pick.
18 episodes, yeah.
That's my pick. 18 episodes. Cannot wait for that. The season ends with Thunderbolts. The season, sorry, the stage 5, or whatever they Phase 5.
I think I'm really intrigued by Loki, actually.
Interesting, yeah. Well, I loved the first season.
I think in terms of the most intriguing, because obviously because it had such impact, that end of Loki season 1, that it's going to take a lot to pitch that up.
Agatha, sorry, I'm just seeing.
I mean, I like Agatha. I mean, they changed the name, didn't they? So that was interesting. Ironheart, again. I mean, I think all of it looks great, and Blade as well. But yeah, I think I'm most intrigued by Loki too, because it's got quite a lot to live up to, I think.
How about you, Matt?
Do you know what? I've avoided all of it. I haven't even looked at them. But partly because, like I was saying in the last episode, I've just burnt out Marvel completely. Right? And then when I see, like, I've seen posts about it and stuff like that, and I see like the next however many years mapped out for like all these hundreds of films, I think, oh God, not more. Honestly, I do.
No. What was your?
Yeah, I don't know. The one I'm very apprehensive about is them remaking Blade. I'll be honest, because the first Blade film for me is incredible. It's a classic.
But in the same way that MCU Daredevil is not going to be anything like Netflix Daredevil.
But I'm interested to see what they do with it, because
he's got yellow in his outfit already, which I'm not. I mean, I'm sure there's a comic book precedent for that.
There is. Not that I've read it, but there definitely is. But then, I think they've got to bring these characters to a different audience, unfortunately.
Well,
if you want to bring them in, and because of what we now know long term, going into Phase 6 now, we know the ending is going to be the Kang Dynasty, and then Secret Wars. Now, I've done a little bit of reading up on Secret Wars, and I watched a really informative video that Triple G done and posted this morning, which explains a little bit about some of the series in the comics, which I know won't be exact.
Yeah.
But they do tend to focus it around. And I mean, if they manage to bring all this stuff, especially off the back of what happened at the end of Miss Marvel, which I still haven't actually seen, but Marc kindly informed me, the whole mutant era being brought into the MCU now, potentially, is going to lead to, unlimited potential in the sense of bringing them sort of characters in. It'll be interesting to see whether a lot of them are recast or whether they bring in some of the old faces.
I think they'll have to recast them, won't they? I also found it very interesting that, and I nearly sent it to you, they someone said, one of the producers of Marvel said that Phase 4 has been all about the trauma and aftermath and repercussions and responsibilities after Endgame. And I thought that was actually quite clever and quite I wouldn't say mature, but it was an because it's all about what Wanda does, and obviously what Doctor Strange does and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was
and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Repercussions, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then that's good. And now, because they can't keep going on about Thanos, so now that's good. That sort of because obviously whatever's happened to Black Panther in the MCU, it's sort of that's a bookend of it, and then it's looking towards the multiverse. And then eventually what will happen is they will get rid of the multiverse, because they do that in the comic books. Everything gets so complicated and so intertwined.
Well, that is essentially, I think that's essentially the end of Secret Wars.
Yes, world, isn't it? And then they've done that more than once. I read that just recently. When Marvel rebooted the whole thing again, that's what they did. There was like the Fantastic Four and a couple of other characters were the last surviving ship out of the universe, and then they had Battleworld, and then it all rebooted all over again.
Or as it's Disney doing it, and they'll just remake it again from the beginning for the next generation of viewers. Probably
for our grandchildren.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly what they'll do. Oh, I remember when
Bobby Downey Jr.
Right. Well, I mean, there you go. So my answer would be Daredevil.
Mine would be Loki 2.
Loki 2. Matt doesn't care.
Couldn't care less. Yeah.
Good.
You mentioned someone earlier, Dean, your friend Dean Amphlett. He sent in a question. Sit yourself, get comfy. It's a long one.
Are you going to read the whole thing, or just he sort of last? Because he did have a question at the end.
The last 3 words.
Okay. Let's just go for that last line. Why are there so many miserable moaning bastards out there who can't enjoy anything? That's his question. No,
I think that wasn't the context of the question, though. That people moan about, whether it be an artist or a film or a series or whatever. They moan about the newer stuff, but can't appreciate. They think, well, the old stuff was always better. As such, wasn't it?
And that's why I brought up that he's a real solid Trekkie, and he loves Discovery, and he loves Strange New Worlds, and he loves Picard and all things like that. I mean, Dean's a great person in general, but he says things like, no, they're not perfect, they're far from perfect, but they're very enjoyable. I can see what they're doing, and he thinks they're great. There's this thing about, someone said to me just recently that if you didn't like something before the age of 12 or something like that, then when you come to it later, you can't get into it. And I think that's true about these things. Some of these things that when you saw when you were so young, or formative years, maybe 12. Yeah. When they do new stuff that's not recognizable, their old stuff, people get very, very annoyed. For example, when you're talking about bands, Arctic Monkeys' most recent album is very, very different to all their other stuff. And no, I prefer whatever people say I am. That's what I'm not. But there's some great songs on that, and I'm pleased that band are trying something different. I don't quite understand the sort of constant whinging and moaning and complaining and Reddit anger that people have for new things, because all that old stuff is still there. If you really don't want to watch new stuff, just ignore it. It didn't happen.
Just watch the old stuff. Exactly.
I'll stop talking now. But when there's a post online which talks about Star Wars is a restaurant. You go to the restaurant, you order the stuff you like. You're not going to like everything, but be nice to people, and especially don't attack the waiters and the managers. Which is, don't attack all the people that are doing the stuff. You will like some stuff and you won't like others, and that seems completely reasonable to me. I don't quite understand the rage.
I think with a band as well, you can't, like, as much as you may not like it, like the Arctic Monkeys, the music they made when they were, I think they were like 18 or something, weren't they, when they first came out? The music or the creative output they're going to have when they're that age is going to be very different when they're 10 years older, isn't it? Because they've evolved. And they're different people. So, other people may have their later albums as their favourite albums. It's just, for me, it's just preference. It's... Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes, you don't have to like it. And
no,
like you
exactly.
said, and that's I think what you both relate to. And it's certainly from a music side. I appreciate that because some of my favourite bands have tried to reinvent themselves. I mean, Linkin Park done it years and years ago, where they tried to. They done the Reimagination album or Reanimation.
It ended in a bit of a whimper, I think, Linkin Park, if I'm honest. In my opinion, but people might have liked the older stuff and the newer stuff.
But all bands do it. The Killers, who we recently saw, but you look at the songs that people get up and dance to and are singing along, it's all the classics. And
that Killers last album was weird.
Yeah, well, I remember you said it was almost a little bit religious, wasn't it?
And I think maybe for an American audience it might have fitted better, but for I suppose us and not being, because it was very about small town America, so I don't think it worked for.
Yeah, it didn't relate. Yeah. The only band I think that for me, my enjoyment that I've followed since the beginning is Radiohead. Who, like, if you listen to their first album, their last album, you'd think it was two different bands completely because they've just gone on this completely different tangent. But I like them in different ways. I still prefer their earlier albums, but I can still appreciate their later ones. You know, it's
I agree.
And also, just talking about music, what's all this recently about people liking Metallica because it was in the Master of Puppets was in Stranger Things. And there was a lot of people who were saying, you think you're a real fan because you've seen it from Stranger Things. And the Metallica themselves apparently came out and said, yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Yeah, I don't think you should judge someone on when they've discovered it. Like, you can come across probably all of us have heard a song in a film and thought, wow, that's an amazing song. I've never heard that before. And it might be an older song that weren't around. If you know, Master of Puppets came out 86, something like that. You know, how many, I was around, but, I probably got into that 10 years after it actually came out and stuff. But you can't I take much more offence in someone that buys a Metallica t-shirt and wears it to look cool and has never listened to Metallica. That is far worse in my book. But
I got into feet because of Gran Turismo.
Yeah,
there you go.
But you're right, and not just that. Also, like, you think, Matt, the amount of bands and things like that you've put me onto over the years, and kind of, because me and Marc grew up together, so most of the bands we would have kind of listened to at the same time, and that's all it is a lot of the time, unless you hear them or recommend it. Oh, check this out. Yeah. And I think with streaming and things like that now, it's so much easier to listen back to older stuff. And I much prefer, Radiohead and Smashing Pumpkins are two bands that I never listened to growing up, really. And then I listen to them probably more than I do a lot of the current bands, mainly Charlie Simpson and Fightstar. So,
And people could judge you for that and say, "Oh, well, you didn't listen to that before." And it's true. And in the comments, Connie said, "Gatekeeping of bands is so stupid." And it is. God, just enjoy it. If you like it, you like it. It's just music, or it's just a TV program, or it's just film.
Look at Kate Bush. I mean, she got number one again, just off the back of Stranger Things.
Yeah,
which is wild. Yeah, that's happened with that. But it shows the power of a good song. I think it's people wouldn't have discovered that if it wasn't done. And I think if it wasn't done so well in that particular thing, because it wasn't just in that series. It wasn't just part like casually playing in the background. It played a central role in the story. So
very memorable scene, isn't it?
And well, just to fill you both in, I've started watching. I'm 4 episodes into the first season of Stranger Things now, so I've finally started it. Absolutely loving it.
Good.
And just the whole feel of the show, the music in the background is very kind of electronic, kind of sort of
it's a beautiful soundtrack. Yeah,
it's incredible, and it just gives you a retro feel throughout. I love it.
Can I just that person that just came up and said about films and TV shows getting into things, people should be saying to you, "Oh my gosh, you've just found out about Metallica. You've got so many things to look forward to."
Exactly.
If someone's not read a book, they go, "Oh my god, you've got all of this to look forward to." It's supposed to be go away.
No, definitely not.
I think that's the better way to be. Also, just another quick thing talking about music in the old days. I remember going to Woolworths to buy Avril Lavigne's first album because that was the only way to get music at that. Yeah. And I was desperate for the Avril Lavigne.
Well, mate, I remember getting.
That's a good album. That was a good album. I'm not ashamed to admit it. It was
very of its time.
I remember getting Eminem's "Hi, My Name Is" on tape. The single version.
Probably for like $10.99 as well.
$10.99.
Do you know what? I'm going to mix it up a bit because we've had a audio question come in for you.
Ooh.
Oh. Who could it possibly be? Are you ready for this? I hope you can hear it.
Is this going to be really high tech, the way you're going to play it as well?
Yeah, just like that. Yeah. Right, are you ready?
Mark, what's your favourite dinner?
Did you get that?
Jen.
What's my favourite dinner? Is that
was my 2-year-old daughter.
Wow.
That was lovely.
That was lovely.
There you go. Listeners of all age. Keep it clean.
Was my favourite dinner?
Yeah.
What's her favourite dinner? What's I think?
Don't copy her answer. Though.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Probably. Oh God, she's not really eating a lot at the moment.
Water?
A curry and a can of Tennent's. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
My actual answer, and you can tell her because it's very specific. It is my nan's roast dinner.
Oh well, I know that is good. So
you know that you've experienced that, haven't you? Yeah. So yeah, it would be.
Jane's thrown out a good option there: chicken dinosaurs and happy faces. Yeah, she'd destroy them. There you go. Lovely. A little question there from a 2-year-old. Back to the serious questions.
Enunciated herself very well,
Mark. Right. So we've had a question from. Where is it? Keep talking. Someone talk.
While you're talking, are you going to shout out some people who have joined, Mark? Because some people have joined the chat.
We've been waiting for them.
I don't know. Can I see who's joined the chat? I can't.
Well, it's just whoever's commenting, really.
Yeah. Highland G, welcome. Thanks for joining. Highland G's here.
Hey, buddy.
And Sonic's Comics.
Yeah, also. Martin's here. And Connie, who we've mentioned. So,
Stranger Things.
Question. While we're talking about Stranger Things, interesting because we've had a question from Steve, all the way over in Lanzarote, SCW, the wrestling channel, on youtube.com. Question mark.
Yeah.
Everybody right now seems to be talking about Stranger Things. Of course they do.
Yeah.
When it comes to a must-see series. When talking about all-time faves, people talk about series like Breaking Bad. What?
Definitely not you. Not you.
What are some of the best series recommendations you can give that people aren't talking about? Series that are underrated in your opinion.
Do you know? And I've got one. And it's baffled me for a very long time why this show, TV series, has never been spoken about more than it has. Maybe over in the States, maybe a bit more, but I don't know. Boardwalk Empire.
I recognise the name.
Yeah.
Of it.
It's got I can't think of his name now, but you would know him as the main guy. There are so many. Huh?
Was he in Lost?
No. He's so famous, and I can't think of his name right now. But it's got a lot. It's got the guy that plays General Zod. Can't think of his name, but he's in it.
Okay, yeah.
He's in it. There are so many people in it, and it's set in Atlantic City during the Prohibition era. But it's not just about the Prohibition era. It's very much about power, very much about the war, the Great War. There's just so much tragedy in it, and the performances are amazing. The set design and the costumes and all those is absolutely amazing. And yeah, I'm absolutely baffled why that has never. I mean, it did win Emmys and things like that, but I've always been baffled as to why it's never done so well because the performances are absolutely incredible. So one that I think has been massively underrated in sort of recent times is Boardwalk Empire. So that would be my answer. Do I have to think of something a bit more modern?
No, I think that's good. James, have you got one?
Yeah, I'd probably say one that I've seen that I mean, it probably wasn't really underrated, but I mean, it's available to watch on Disney. But Atlanta.
Oh yeah, that's come back, isn't it?
Yeah, really like it. But then I quite like Donald Glover.
Yeah,
you did watch it though, didn't you? You watched the first season.
I've watched most in the first season, I think, and I keep meaning to watch it because it's only about half an hour an episode, isn't it?
Yeah, quite short. It was just a good watch. I really enjoyed it.
Great show, and I think the new series is coming out of that, isn't there?
That's right. Yeah. What about yours, Matt?
There is. I would say Banshee, which is one that I watched a few years ago now.
Yeah.
And it's about a policeman. He's a guy, I think he's just got out of prison, isn't he? It's been a while since I watched it. And he moves to this small town and becomes the sheriff of this very small town. Or he sort of poses as the sheriff and then sort of in the end sort of it becomes accepted as the sheriff. And this small town is sort of ruled by this Amish like gang lord who sort of rules the area as such. And there are lots of side stories to it too. And it's very well written. It's got a very good soundtrack as well. But it's just full of extreme violence, which is the thing. In one scene, someone tears someone's throat out, and like you see it being done, and things like that. And it's really harsh for a sort of a TV show. And the lead actor, I don't know the gentleman's name, but he's in The Boys. He's the guy with the blonde hair. One of the superheroes with the blonde hair.
Oh,
who's on the covers?
Homelander. Yeah.
Yes,
the one who looks like Superman.
Yeah, that's it. He's the main character, isn't it?
Something Star, Anthony Starr, his name is.
I think so, something like that. Yeah, great series. I think it's being repeated at the moment on one of the Freeview channels, but I can't remember which one. But yeah, fantastic.
Can I just say a comedy series that I don't think a lot of people talk about, but I think is absolutely brilliant. Dead Pixels. And especially the audience of this, in terms of it's all about three flatmates or two flatmates, but there's a third one that play MMORPGs, like World of Warcraft, and it's
Channel
great.
4 is it, or something like that?
Or equal, probably, whatever. But yes, it's very, very good and very, very funny. And I don't think I've not heard many people talk about it.
Well, there's been some other suggestions on shows like that from Triple G. Said Quantum Leap, What We Do in the Shadows,
amazing.
Close to London. I enjoyed that. I remember watching that.
I need to watch that.
Babylon 5 and Angel.
See, a lot of people hated Babylon 5. I have very strong memories of people complaining about it at the time for whatever reason, or it didn't do very well. Farscape is another one that a lot of people don't talk about in that kind of vein. Bloody love Farscape. That's great.
24. I wouldn't necessarily say that was underrated though, but yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I didn't watch 24. You loved 24, didn't you, Mark?
Yeah, watch it with my nan. All of it.
Yeah,
I've never seen it. I haven't watched any of it at all. Yeah.
There's certainly a sliding scale from the.
Triple G is also said from a superhero style, Superman and Lois. That's the new version, isn't it?
Yeah. I caught little bits of that, and it seems so serious. Like the small bits I saw, and they're all sort of like, oh god, yeah, and this is happening, and what are we gonna do? And think, wow, this isn't entertainment, but yeah, that was my.
We've had a couple of questions from Shane as well. Live questions as we're here. Mark, any books behind you there? Or maybe many books, maybe.
Yeah.
Have you read any Max Barry?
No, I've never even heard of them. So
there.
If you tell me more about that, I'd be interested. I haven't heard of them, and normally.
And there's Highland G's asked a book-related question as well. He's putting
that up or down.
Right in the bottom. Mark, being a teacher, are there any books or series / franchise that you avoid at home because you teach or hear about them in school all the time?
Good question. I like that.
I mean, I would love the kids to be sort of constantly talking to me about books and series which I. But all the kids seem to watch, like the vast majority of things they watch, is anime. That seems to be the biggest thing. So there's just a plethora of stuff that I've just never got into that they all seem to like. There's a big thing in our sport about whether you sub or dub. Do you watch when you watch the anime? Do you have it dubbed or do you have it subbed? And the only one that came close to that was I specifically didn't watch Squid Game because they were all talking about it so much. I was like, I don't want to get involved.
Was that your year 7s?
Well, you joke, but yeah, there was a lot because it filters down. Like even if they didn't really, because they were because again, I haven't seen Squid Game, but I know there's it's like they were playing a game like British Bulldog, right? But it's a Squid Game version. So there was a bit of hysteria, like, oh, they're playing Squid Game. It's like, well, they're playing British Bulldog, but it's just got a different name.
Someone dies.
Then someone died. Yeah, I was saying someone died in a playground.
They were murdering them. British Bulldog means you're dead. I'm not sure how well that would have gone down. But yeah, there's lots of stuff like that I avoid.
Do you know what? Connie's just said a good thing as well. Interesting. When she was at school, it was kind of embarrassing. I mean, I probably would have. The only anime I would have watched back then would have been the Street Fighter manga movie, which.
Yeah. But I remember Triple G. Sorry. I remember Triple G saying that when he was young, to have a Spider-Man comic or whatever was sort of shameful, and you sort of ostracized. But now, oh my God, in the library, the only books that disappear are the graphic novels. Like they go like that. They just disappear. So yeah, it's a real thing. Death Note. We had about 20 different sets of Death Note that have just sort of disappeared because
I think it's just more accessible now. Like a lot of those things, you'd have a few glimpses of stuff maybe on normal TV or whatever, but now there's subscription services like Crunchyroll and stuff. You can just get it, and I think that's the big difference, isn't it?
Do your boys watch it, Matt?
Yeah, I know Ben went through a phase sort of about my oldest about a year ago watching loads of anime and was watching Demon Slayer and things like that, which are amazing. I watched the Demon Slayer movie and just visually and everything, it's just beautiful. I find it quite hard to... I don't know whether it's lost in translation, but it's very over-emotional is the only way I can describe it. Everything is just so and it's going on. But there was some really interesting ones that he sort of I didn't watch, but I sort of saw bits of. And there's one about these I can't remember what it's called now, but there were children in this orphanage, and they discover that the sort of the people they think their kids are being sent away to like their families or whatever, but they're killing them, and it's like quite a dark thing because they're the children in it are only sort of like 7 or 8 or something like that. So it's like a pretty heavy story for that sort of thing. But
there's a lot of violence that goes along with a lot of that. I know again that a lot of the primary school teachers have to be on it because their parents will just assume, they're watching the cartoon and it's fine. But actually,
it really isn't.
There's a lot of
lots of adult themes in some of the anime.
Well, good questions.
Very good questions.
Another one. I think he asked another one as well. Mark, do you know what the dot in an eye? Did he say? Do you know what the dot
above or in an eye is called?
Above an eye is called.
What when it's in an eye?
Yeah,
no. I know an umlaut, but that's not what that is.
What's an umlaut?
It's the 2 dots.
In like German.
Yeah, or no. Or is it? Yeah, it's a German thing. I don't know. I'm not a linguistic teacher.
He just likes books. Next.
Yeah.
He can read. He can't write.
Only thing I was ever good at.
Oh, there you go. He's answered it. It's called a tittle.
A tittle.
Definitely teaching that next.
That's lesson back. Right, year 7.
Next. Fun fact of the day. Right, we've had another question in from Lorraine Nolan.
Oh yeah, this is my colleague. Hello, Lorraine.
It could be Nolan. I don't know. My question is: can pop culture, get my teeth in, survive in the long term as people disengage more and more with music charts, etc.? I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. But
I remember a question. I mean, that's obviously a really big question. I think again, talking about the kids at school, when you actually ask the year 7s, what is your favorite TV show or what do you watch? They answer by saying YouTube. Like it's very hard in lots of ways to get a favorite film or a favorite TV show. And when you talk about pop culture that everyone experienced, is getting a narrower and narrower field. They were talking on the radio earlier on today about how popular EastEnders used to be back in the day, and that's because there was only 4 channels. And Matt, you've already sort of touched on that as well. So those sort of shared experiences for pop are getting less and less. And I suppose the MCU is one of the biggest at the moment. It's probably one of the biggest pop culture things. And I know, again, I know on a previous podcast you were talking about the when Cap lifts Mjolnir. How people reacted to that, and that's a very sort of big cultural moment for people. I suppose what will probably happen is it will just become more niche. It will become more very popular subcultures of things. Again, we spoke about anime. I don't think anime is ever necessarily going to be the massive big culture over here, but it will become very, very popular with a certain group of people. So it will be more fragmented, but that doesn't mean that it won't be, that there won't be a culture. It will just be so many different things. I mean, my God, when you look at Comic Cons, the range of stuff where people are dressed up as, it's so difficult to keep on top. I mean, I really try to go, oh, that's from that, that's from that, that's from that. But there'll be a whole massive area of things that I just got no idea about. And in some ways that's good. But in some ways, it's a shame because you can't have that connection anymore because there's just so much content, too much content.
Yeah,
exactly.
What do you think?
And it is the case. Yeah, I mean, that's it. I think that things will just naturally, because if you think of Disney Plus and like those sort of services, you have to subscribe. If you haven't, if I've got Disney Plus and you haven't, and I've seen the show, there's no way of you seeing it unless you pay to see it and stuff. Whereas before, like Mark said, I remember when there's 4 channels and there'd be like, I remember when they would have Michael Jackson's new video as a special thing on TV or whatever. And which seems mental now, like having that an artist thing. But that would happen, and then and there'd be an episode of EastEnders and something had happened in it, and you'd be talking about it the next day because everyone saw it. Whereas now it is just these niche little groups. But I've always liked alternative culture more than popular culture. So I feel quite content in it. Like I like being on Reddit and being in a group that is talking about old computers or Street Fighter or something like that. I can now, it's a blessing to me, so I can now focus on these little niches that I love. And you've got. Whereas before you was at home liking something and didn't necessarily know anyone else that did, you've now got access to, if you really love watching, reruns of Doug, you can get Disney Plus and you can watch that all day, every day. Who got the opportunity to do that? No one. It's brilliant. So, I don't know. There are pros and cons to it. Are we missing? I guess the question for me, are we missing out by not having that shared experience? Is it better to be able to do what you love and enjoy those niches that you love, or is it better to share that thing with loads of people? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that there's a great comment there from Martin from Sonic's Comics. I remember back in the day when channels ended in static.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They played God Save the Queen and it turned off. Yeah.
Highland G, I like having niche interests. Makes conversations more interesting rather than everyone only. And do you know what? That makes me think, actually. Do you remember I told you about, oh God, I can't even remember who it was now. Oh, yeah, I do, actually. A friend of a friend, we was chatting at a party, and he said to me he'd set himself a challenge for a year. It was almost like a New Year's resolution that he wouldn't watch anything that he's already seen throughout the year. So everything he's watching is something new. No reruns of anything. No, if a film comes on that, if it's Alien, let's say, he's not going to watch it because he's already seen it. And I think that's quite a cool, and it can be a classic film that he hasn't seen. But I think that's quite a clever thing to do. And I know we've all got our favourite sort of films that you can easily just sit. You could join it halfway through and probably still watch it. But I think that's quite a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I think the thing that upsets me the most. Sorry, Mark. The thing that upsets me the most with sort of popular culture or mainstream culture with a lot of things is that I think some people, and I think Shane has sort of touched upon it a bit where he said, I liked it better when a geek wasn't trendy. And I think there's a lot of things that are now purely marketing that are coming out. And I think the Marvel franchise is a lot to do with that. It's like, oh yeah, like geek is a thing now, and it's a brand, and it's content that everyone can say, oh yeah, I'm a geek because I've seen whatever new Marvel film is and that. And there's a bit of snobbery with me about that.
Is it a bit like being a goth?
Being a goth?
Yeah, because you remember goth was a trendy thing back in the day when me and Mark were growing up, when we were kind of, I don't know, 14, 15.
When I went to clubs, there was proper goths there with vampire teeth and stuff, yeah. But that's never been mainstream, I think, has it? But, you know, someone will watch a comic book movie or like a superhero movie, and then they'll identify as a geek, whereas there have been people suffering in the underground for years, being like jilted and shoved to one side, now thinking, well, hang on, how's this working?
But the idea sorry, go on. Sorry. No, sorry.
I was just going to say, my final comment of it is, it reminds me of a sketch that the comedian called Bill Hicks did in the stand-up thing, and it's about marketing or advertising. I think it's worded specifically, and it's worth everyone checking that out, because he's talking about advertising and marketing, and it's sort of, oh yeah, well, you're going for like this angle now, and I'm not explaining it very well, but YouTube it, and it very much relates to what some popular culture is like now. It's sort of like, oh yeah, we're catering for this, you know, section of whatever. But yeah, that's my rambling rant over.
I just want to say that I think that kind of unbelievable,
Jeff is here.
I just worry that kind of underdogness of geek, like is a shame, because we wouldn't have the MCU as we have now. We wouldn't have Stranger Things potentially. There's lots of things that we wouldn't have if that kind of culture hadn't exploded. And I'm sure you could still find some incredibly niche, geeky thing that if you really only wanted to, you know, find something, you know, I mean, this is in sort of broader culture. This is why people will only watch, you know, French films directed by, you know, bloody, you know, Uragard or whoever, and that sort of very narrow appreciation of culture. I always worry, because I think there's a friend of mine once used to say they're not highbrow or lowbrow, they're omnibrow. That, you know, they can at one point go to a ballet, but then they can also watch Love Island. And
it's the same as what we was talking about with music, isn't it? You know, you're saying, oh no, that's better. And you know, than this thing. Like, you like what you like, don't you? But I think that's very true. I just don't like it when sort of, I guess what I was trying to say is, I don't like it when sort of these big corporations adopt this thing. And it's like, this is, you know, this is this, you know, this is geek culture. Here it is, buy it from us. You know,
we've focus grouped it, and this will make
exactly.
And
makes me feel dirty. It really does.
Dirty. Well, speaking of dirty,
where's this?
A dirty question has just come in from Ryan, and I just want to say a massive thanks to Ryan, because he sent us he sent us the edited version of the questioning Mark jingle, so I appreciate that. And we've also got some new jingles from Ryan, which we're working on in the background. I'm sure Matt is. But Ryan wants to know, Mark, what's the worst teacher you've ever had, and why?
Well, we all went to school together, didn't we? So
and they won't listen, so it's fine.
No, it's true. I'm trying to think. The worst teacher. Who was the bald-headed one that taught physics?
Can't
remember his name. It was I just didn't like him, and I didn't agree with physics. And for some reason, he favoured Glyn over me, which which is very neat. I get to talk about niche comments. It's a very niche comment for a podcast, but he thought Glyn was great, and I wasn't, and I didn't really like
Corkill?
No, Corkill was the geography teacher. I got on with Corkill. Although again,
was he in Brookside?
No,
Give me Corkill.
Although Glyn and Corkill once took me on a trip to Box Hill because they thought it'd be funny for me to climb the hill, and I did really well. So joked on them. I have mainly positive memories of school. Actually,
hence why you're a teacher now.
There you go. That's a good thing.
In the same borough.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for your question, Ryan. Live questions as they happen. Matt, did you have some questions for Mark?
I have got some questions for Mark.
Before we round off with a fun quickie, Mark.
Quickfire. So, Mark, if you could watch one TV, or you could only watch one TV show for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Lost.
Great shout. Yes,
would there be any
Mark.
particular seasons, or like the whole lot, just again and again and again and again and again?
I
Skip season 4.
No, I liked season 4. It was season 3. Season 3 was the writer strike one.
Yeah.
That was the other one. Season 4 is when all the magic, all like the weird timey-wimey stuff happens in the island. I don't want to spoil it. I'm sure people don't really care. But anyway, yeah. No, Lost. I think I get the thing about Lost is, as I think James has already mentioned, is that it's not just a show, but obviously I watched it with my nan and I watched it with James, and there was people at work at the time that were obsessed with it, and my very good friend at the time, she was obsessed with it as well. I remember they did this thing where they put something online and you had to print it out, and if you printed it out and folded it in a particular way, it gave you flight 316, which was the other plane that took them back to the island, and it was all and it was just it was a thing. It was as the kids would say today, it was a vibe. It was a whole big thing. So I could definitely watch it, but it would also give me the memories of that time in my life.
Nice.
Interesting. There's been some options, some other answers there. Ryan said Scrubs. Shane said Buffy.
Yeah.
Phil said Prison Break. I quite like Prison Break, but it did get a bit repetitive, Prison Break, for me. Although
back in prison.
Lost kind of done that a little bit, but yeah.
That mad bit at the end of Lost where the girl got put in prison. It was like did you ever see this, James? It was one episode after the series had finished. They put one episode where the girl was back in prison. They had to break her out for one episode. It was the weirdest.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
No, we don't. No, we don't. We don't talk about it.
Never talk about that.
No. Next.
Next question. If you could only have one of the following, what would you choose? Either music, games, books, or film. So you can only have one type of media. What would you have?
I'd have to get rid of music because I've always struggled with it.
I'm guessing that'd be yours, Matt.
I would keep music, 100%.
I'd have to get rid of music. It would probably have to. So when you say books, I could have access to all the books that were ever written.
But you could read books. You just couldn't watch TV or film, etc. Yeah.
I mean, it's a really difficult question, but it would. I mean, it would.
They're the hard-hitting questions that we ask, Mark.
Yeah. It's like
there's no light interrogation here. Yeah.
I would have to be books. I think as an English grad and English teacher, it would have to be books. I mean, it would be difficult because I love film and I love TV, and I obviously love music as well. But I've always struggled with like knowing particular bands and particular people. Books. Cool.
Out of curiosity, James, what would yours be?
Mine would be just FIFA.
Or Football Manager.
Oh, good shout! Yeah,
you could choose games. You'd get both. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, considering I've played the least amount of games between the three of us, and yet I'd probably still pick games.
But you'd have all the time, presumably.
You'd have all the time because you wouldn't be doing anything else. Yeah. What is your guilty pleasure? Is the next question.
In what context, Matt?
Justin Bieber.
No. What thing do you love that you're sort of a little bit? I don't know.
Yeah.
Keep it clean.
Yeah, no, I am. I'm laughing because it's embarrassing, but I will admit it. During I think it was the third lockdown, the third official lockdown.
Yeah.
My guilty pleasure during that time, and I have never gone back to it, but my guilty pleasure during that time, and I don't think I should say this in front of James, but I'm going to, or the whole of the internet. Married at First Sight Australia.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Wow. That's a good one, isn't it? But that's exactly why I asked that question.
It was a very difficult time in my life. And
wow. I love the fact this is coming out now. I was unaware of this.
Well, amazing.
Well, obviously.
This is exactly what I wanted. Yeah.
It was just drama after drama, and there were some terrible people in it. And yeah, So first lockdown, I watched the entirety of The Office. That's what got me through first lockdown. Second lockdown was Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Third lockdown was Married at First.
Wow. What's yours, Matt?
Mine is Wheel of Fortune every afternoon when I have my lunch.
How is
what channel with Nikki Campbell? It's on Challenge.
Oh.
Challenge generally for me is a bit of a guilty pleasure because I watch Wheel of Fortune, reruns of Catchphrase. Bruce's Price is Right is definitely one that's on the weekend. Old game shows I absolutely love, and I sit there shouting.
You love Bullseye.
Bullseye. If I had to choose one TV show for the rest of my life, Bullseye would be a clear front runner for that one.
Did they used to have 3-2-1 on there? I used to watch that a lot, but
they did. I've not seen that for many years though. Yeah. There you go.
James, you're going to admit your guilty pleasure?
Yeah, what's yours?
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, do you know what's weird? I was having this conversation at work the other day with Emily, who I work with, and we were talking about music. I mean, that'd be probably my reference to it, because my sort of bands are all them old bands that we grew up listening to, Mark. But I said to her, "What's your guilty pleasure?" And she said, "Oh God, what was hers?" It was some cheesy band, and I said mine would be Ollie Murs. Oh, hers was 1D. Mine would be Ollie Murs. I just like Ollie Murs for some reason. Yeah.
Sure.
Look, fuming.
Yeah. But can I say that Connie shares my love of Bullseye? Loves watching reruns of Bullseye from the 80s, so do I.
Yeah, but she also likes watching the Kardashians as well, Matt. So.
Maybe she doesn't feel guilty about that. Maybe she's quite. I mean, I've never seen an episode. Seen an episode of that.
I've never watched it at all. No. And my final question, just to round this off. What is the worst film you have ever seen?
Oh, good question.
The worst film I've ever seen. It was probably a film that made me angry that I had to watch it. Because my memory's not great, but one of the worst ones I've seen recently was the most recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Oh my God. I mean, it was so bad it was funny, so in a way that was good. But there's a scene towards the end, and I mean, I wouldn't recommend anyone to watch it, so I'm not giving anything away. But the guy who's the Texas Chainsaw guy, he gets onto a bus, and on this bus are a load of kids, like sort of 18, 19-year-olds. And as he gets on with their chainsaw, they all put their phones up and film it. And but that's it. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny or it's supposed to be like a
comment on,
Yeah, but it was stupid.
A message.
And then again, this is giving nothing away. He massacres them, but he massacres them in some
not to give anything. They're all dead.
Oh yeah, like I said, but so it was awful, and the ending is awful as well.
Did they not all turn the torches on and blind him?
And it's just a shame because I actually found the most recent Halloween one pretty good because when they brought back, but the one that because they brought the girl back from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and she was just awful. She was just like how they made her. She was awful in it. So so it was a real disappointment. That probably is the worst one, but just on that, I actually really should sit down and watch Battlefield Earth because that is considered the worst film ever made, and I really should sit down and watch that and see if I actually agree or not.
That sounds like a good challenge. I'm going to watch that now. So I've never seen that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of challenges, I've got in front of me, just to end the show on a light note, Mark. 21 quick fire questions for Mark.
Okay.
I'd love to stake the honour of saying that I put all these questions together, but I didn't. So, are you ready?
Who did?
Quick fire, doesn't matter.
Is this in the same calibre as your pirate quiz from last week?
It's up there. It's up
Nice.
there. Really quick, though. Some of them we might have already covered, so I might need to skip past them, but let's go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Do you have your own Netflix account?
Yes.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Married at First Sight Australia.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
Build Me Up Buttercup.
What is your last Google search?
I honestly can't remember. I think it may have been that's what's done on my phone. What's all the Phase 5 films? Because I was trying to figure that out.
Nice. What is the punchline to your favourite joke?
Ouch.
That's good. What was your last impulse buy?
I bought The Secrets of Dumbledore, Blu-ray.
Nice. What celebrity annoys you the most?
I don't really worry too much about celebrities, but probably someone like. See, first of all, it's Donald Trump. That's too serious, isn't it? Donald Trump.
What is not a big deal to most people, but is torture to you?
Being rude to waitresses and waiters and people like that.
What is the weirdest thing your pet does? Now I know you don't have any pets, but you did have a pet.
You have a pet. Just be annoying.
Okay. If your pet could talk, what would they say about you?
Go away.
Okay.
Leave me alone.
What are the least likely 3 words someone would use to describe you?
Least likely. Quick. Powerful. And organized.
Okay. What mythical creature would you believe was real?
Like, what could I believe? Dragon, obviously. Dinosaurs, basically.
Dinosaurs are mythical creatures.
Yeah, they're not.
No, but they're close, aren't they?
Oh, a dragon is potentially a dinosaur, right? I'll follow you. Yeah.
Okay. What is the strangest thing you ever saw while walking down the street?
That's a great question.
I once saw a guy whack clean off a wing mirror with a golf club.
Wow, that's a good one.
Bam, and it was gone. And
Normal,
it was just
normal for your neck of the woods.
good maze, yeah.
What is the cringiest thing you did as a teenager?
Probably wear a lot of black and pretend to be really cool. But try to run up walls like from the Matrix.
Yeah. What?
James is like, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. What non-existent job do you wish existed?
Probably Aura, to be an Aura from Harry Potter.
Nice. What world record do you think you have a shot at beating? Quick fire, come on.
Most films watched in a day.
Ooh. There'd have to be short films.
There's a limit, yeah, to that, isn't there?
What's a film?
Do public restrooms? Do public restrooms make you feel self-conscious?
No.
Do you know how to perform a magic trick?
No, but I wish I did.
Have you ever planned a prank months in advance?
No.
Last 2. What object do you misplace or lose the most? Apart from your dignity?
I'm actually very, very good at not losing things. I mean, it's boring, my keys probably, but I don't even lose them that much.
And what is your favourite pun?
I'm not a fan of puns. When I think of puns, I think it's a play on words, which is from The Simpsons. So that could be that.
And who? Oh, sorry, there is a 26. Who is your favourite co-host of This Week in Metropolis?
Daisy.
Nice.
Well done. Well done.
Well done. Good. Got out of that one. Well, there you go. Wow, good answers.
Very good answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think that brings us to the end.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I feel honoured and privileged to be here. So thank you very much.
We appreciate you joining us.
Exactly. It's the least we could do to pay you back for that, you know, the service you give the show week after week is, you know.
So I'm not actually going to be paid.
No.
No.
Anyway, thank you for all those who have joined us tonight. There's been loads of other questions that have come in, but we don't want to ask Mark them. We ain't got time.
We've kept you for an hour and 10 minutes, which is quite a long episode for us. So, you know,
Mark needs to get to bed. He's a teacher.
Exactly.
No school tomorrow, though. But anyway, everyone, thank you for joining us. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. You can watch this show back if you want to watch it all again. If you haven't watched it live, you might be watching it on a playback. Who knows? You might be listening to it. Matt will do the magic and put that out there onto the airwaves this evening at some point. And you know where to find us. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, although we don't really do much on there anymore. But nothing about that. That was just a phase. We'll be back next week for the final episode of season 10, which is not our 100th.
No. And it will be on a different day.
Oh, yeah, there's that as well.
I think Monday or Wednesday.
We'll tell you.
We'll discuss that and let you know. Yeah.
Mark, Monday or Wednesday? What's better for you, Mark?
Wednesday.
Let's go with that then.
Let's go with that. What I would say, just to finish off, we mentioned it earlier on in the show. James and I were on Super Bracket Bros this earlier in the week, and it's already out, I believe. So do look them up. It's an awesome podcast. Do give them some love and follow them, etc., and check out the content they put out, because it is genuinely really good. And we've been on there twice now and have an absolute blast every time we do. And so show them some support.
And I was also on Pete's Triple G's channel on Saturday. That was a live episode where we discussed all recent TV shows as well, and the finales and how them series were. That was really good. So if you get a chance, check that out. And I've just seen, bless him, Jay is in the is watching along. Jay from Super Bracket Bros. Hey Jay, thanks for joining us. So pleasure to be part of them shows. Hopefully we'll get Jay and Eli from Super Bracket Bros onto the next series. So watch this space. But until next week, we will see you then. That's what we'll do. Bye.
Goodbye.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as we did. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our future episodes.
Yeah, and you can also follow us on all social media. So you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok.